Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is safe. Stay safe. The irony of the world is that be positive, but stay negative. So we all need to be very, very strong and we need to take care of our family members. But then these classes are also very important and we are trying our best to reach you in this pandemic so that you are not left without the studies. Your touch with the studies is also very, very important. So we are trying our best efforts. So with this, I start the class. We have done alcohols, children. Now in this alcohols chapter, there is one basic question which comes every year, which is an applicative question. And that is a practical based question, which is based on the chemical test of alcohols. Now, when we say chemical test of alcohols, it clearly gets connected to the classification of alcohols. So I'm just sharing the screen and then we start with today's topic. So here goes the screen. Just give me a minute, let me share and then we start with the class. So when we are talking about, as I mentioned just now, alcohols, now your alcohols, the general formula is ROH, where the IUPAC name is alkanol and the common name is alkyl alcohol. But when we are talking about the chemical test, children, then the chemical test comprises on the three classification of alcohols, which is primary alcohol, then your secondary alcohol, and the third one is your tertiary alcohol. Now for this, we use Lucas reagent. Now, as I have discussed in the previous classes also, that when we are using any chemical in a theory, when we are writing the answer, and if that chemical has to be prepared during the course of the reaction, then at that time, we need to, when we are writing the answer, we need to mention the preparation. Now, when you will be writing the chemical test to distinguish between primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohols, it is mandatory to write the preparation of this Lucas reagent, where in the board paper marking scheme, half a mark is allotted for writing the preparation, though you will not find this mentioned anywhere in the question. So the reagent is it is an equimolar mixture of anhydrous, zinc chloride, and conc HCl. Now, the moment I am using the word equimolar, now equimolar means that we are taking in the mixture in the same ratio, 1:1. If I'm taking one part of anhydrous zinc chloride, then I'm taking one part of conc HCl also. So this is some basic information about Lucas reagent. Now, when we are talking about the classification part, let's start. Your primary alcohol, as we have discussed, the general formula is RCH2OH. This is your primary alcohol. Your secondary alcohol is R2CHOH. Your tertiary alcohol is R3COH. Now, what is the basic difference in all the three classification? The basic difference is the number of alkyl groups. And these number of alkyl groups are getting replaced. They are replacing the hydrogen atom of this particular group, that is CH2. Now, after tertiary alcohol, your quaternary alcohol is not possible because now if you see here, there is no hydrogen atom left. So we are dealing only with primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohols. Now, when we are talking about the distinguishing part, then in that case, when we are mixing your primary alcohol with Lucas reagent, then the observation is no turbidity appears. Now, what is the meaning of this term, no turbidity appears? This is a statement. This is the term turbidity. Turbidity is another word for milkiness. Okay, it is another word for milkiness, children. And here in this milkiness, it is a general term. When we are writing the answers in the board exam, they expect us to use the technical terms. So your milkiness, the general term, is replaced by the term turbidity. So the moment you take the primary alcohol in the test tube and you are adding Lucas reagent, you will find that no turbidity will appear. Now, when we are taking a secondary alcohol and we are mixing the Lucas reagent with the secondary alcohol, we find that your turbidity appears after 5 minutes. Now, this is the experimental time which has been calculated. So you cannot change. You have to write 5 minutes. Now we come to the last, that is your tertiary alcohol. Now with this tertiary alcohol, when we are mixing the Lucas reagent, your turbidity appears at once. So this is the chemical test. Now, one thing, children, you all need to be very, very particular that when they are asking to distinguish between primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohols, they are asking you to write a chemical test. This is a very common mistake which we, when we are analyzing the pupil analysis, which comes from the council after the your answer sheets are evaluated. The examiners comments come and their suggestions come. In the comment, this is a very important thing which is being highlighted for the teachers, that we need to make you all clear that the chemical test does not imply a chemical property. Chemical test is something, the practical knowledge of the compound. Practical knowledge means that when we are performing an experiment in the lab, whatever we are visualizing through our naked eyes, that comprises of the chemical test observation. So here, when you are taking the 3 different alcohols in 3 different test tubes, you are adding your Lucas reagent. Then you find that in the primary alcohol, the moment you add Lucas reagent, no turbidity will appear. Your secondary alcohol, when you are adding the Lucas reagent, turbidity will appear after 5 minutes. And for tertiary alcohol, when we are adding Lucas reagent to it, turbidity appears at once. And this turbidity is what I have already explained you. It is the milkiness. So I hope this particular part is clear to you all. That is why I have taken this topic separately. I have not intermixed with your chemical properties or the chemical reactions which we have earlier discussed. So this is a very important part which comes every year in the exam. Either a pair of alcohol will be given to you. Now, when we are talking about pair of alcohol, that also I'm discussing that how it will come, so that there is no confusion. Now, these alcohols, they are numbered, children. Suppose the question comes, distinguish between butanol 2 and butanol 1. Now, when we were doing the IUPAC names by the numbering system, these numbers give the message that the functional group is attached on the carbon number 1 in case of butanol 1. In butanol 2, it is attached on your carbon number 2. But here, when we are talking about classification of alcohols, your primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohols, they are designated by these numbers. So butanol 2 is nothing but it is a secondary alcohol. Butanol 1 is nothing but it is a primary alcohol. Now the question might arise in your mind that ma'am to said that only methanol and ethanol are in our syllabus. So from where the butanol is coming? Or maybe in the board paper it is written propanol 1 and propanol 2. So ma'am to has not taught us. Now children, you need to see that you have to do a general study. We have told you primary, secondary, and tertiary alcohol in terms of general studies. Now you have to apply with the examples which they are quoting in the question. So you should not jitter, you should not get panicked, you should not stress yourself. You have to just apply your basic knowledge, and for that you need to be focused in the class. That is very, very mandatory. Now butanol 2, it is a secondary alcohol we know. So when we will add Lucas reagent to it, the answer will be turbidity appears after 5 minutes. And here you will have to mention the reason also, as it is a secondary alcohol. In the same manner, butanol 1, you will be writing that when Lucas reagent is added to butanol 1, no turbidity appears. Again, as I mentioned just now, that you will be writing the reason also, because it is a primary alcohol. You have already stated the reason, you have already cleared your say to the examiner that because butanol 2 is a secondary alcohol, so turbidity will appear after 5 minutes. And for butanol 1, the turbidity will not be seen, it will not appear at all because it is a primary alcohol. So with this, we end the class. I hope this particular topic is clear to everyone. In case if there is any question, you can always drop a message and I will get back to you for your queries. Thank you, class. And just as I said in the beginning of the class, be positive, but test negative. Be strong, be safe. That's all. Thank you, class.